Next question is from a voter in Rochester. It's for both the candidates, and based on my system here, we'll start with Fenton on this one. The question is this: I work directly with teens and young adults facing a decision about abortion. What is your stand on parental notification for minors? And you have 3 minutes.
Okay. I'm pro-life. I believe that it was a serious mistake to repeal the parental notification law 3 years ago, which Jackie voted for. I also believe it was a serious mistake to repeal the ban on partial birth abortion that our state had, which the Supreme Court approved with 2 minor corrections that we could have made, but instead we repealed that law. I'm pro-life. I believe that unborn little boys and girls are human beings. I think they are protected by our Constitution, fully protected by our Constitution. The very first inalienable right mentioned in our Declaration of Independence is a right to life. These little boys and girls, unborn boys and girls, are human. We have an obligation under our Constitution to protect them.
Thank you. Jackie?
Thank you. There are decisions that we're called upon to make that are gut-wrenching in every way, and this is one of them. Nobody approaches this topic lightly. But as I said, you know, one of the things that's required of us is to do our due diligence to make that decision. And while we would all like to think that every family is, and I'm going to date myself here, the Ozzie and Harriet family. Father knows best. Good, loving family. That's just not the way it is out in the world. And there are times when a family is so dysfunctional that a young woman pays the price of that dysfunction. In Idaho, a 13-year-old girl named Amanda Spring was shot to death by her father because they had parental notification laws, and she had to come and say to him, I want to terminate the pregnancy that was caused by your acts of incest. The American Medical Society opposes parental notification on those types of grounds. The American Academy of Pediatrics opposes parental notification on those grounds. The Supreme Court has said that the mere notification can be the flashpoint of violence for a young woman, resulting in her battering. I will never vote to send a young woman back to her potential abuser. Never. We have counseling programs in place. We have good health care in place. And that decision belongs between a doctor and a young woman.
Thank you for that response. This is a question from a voter in Somersworth. This is for both candidates. And I will start with Jackie on this one. Several states have taken action against the health care program passed this year in Washington. How do you feel about that for New Hampshire? So I guess this question is regarding how is the health care reform affecting New Hampshire, and how do you feel about that? 3 minutes.
We've seen all kinds of silliness go on in Concord about states, you know, leaving the union. In fact, I think, I don't want to speak for him, but I think somebody close to Mr. Groen also voted for that what's the word when you leave the secede. You know, and there have been bills that we're not going to participate in it, and we're going to sue the federal government. You know, when you break the elements of the health care bill down, and you say to folks in New Hampshire, do you want to go back to pre-existing conditions where your insurance can throw you off? Everybody says no. Okay. Do you want to make sure that your child has health care when she or he is born? Everybody says yes. Do you want to make sure that it's more affordable for small business? Everybody says yes. When you go down through every single element of what this state will participate in, people are in agreement. What they're not in agreement with is Obamacare, because we've learned to be afraid of Obamacare. The death panels, all of the silliness that went on around it. And, you know, being a student of history, I just happened to be reading about, you know, the whole long saga of Medicare. You know, the folks out there with Medicare who say, keep your hands off my, you know, my health care. That's a government health care program. Hopefully everybody in this room knows it. Okay? So, you know, am I in favor of, you know, of seceding, or am I in favor of suing the federal government? No. I think this is going to be a slow, incremental process. I think that there will be mistakes made along the way. I think there will be challenges, and we will face those challenges. We will make the corrections that need to be made as we go along, and that's the way a civil society conducts itself.
Okay, thank you for that response, Jackie. And Fenton, I'll give you the same question.
I don't know who the person close to me that wants to secede from the union is. I hope it's none of my kids or my wife, because I don't agree with that. But I also don't believe that the federal government is right just because they're the federal government. In this case, I think they drastically overreached the constitutional power that they were given in our U.S. Constitution, and they've overreached what our state constitution allows. They have required citizens to buy a product or services which is expressly forbidden in the federal Constitution. Now, getting to the issues of medical care, I know there have to be many improvements and corrections in the system. We have problems. There are issues that have to be dealt with. What I don't want to do is to go to a nationalized healthcare system, and make no mistake, that is where this will lead us. When you take and you tax the premiums of private plans to pay for a public plan, how long can private plans last? Let me repeat, when you tax the premiums of private plans to pay for the federal plan, and they're supposed to be on a level playing field, how long can that last? This system is designed to go to a single-payer system, and when it does, we will face what Germany is facing today, a bankrupt system. We will face what England is facing today, a struggle to pay for their system. They can't do it. We will face lines. We will face restrictions on services. It's happened in other nations. We don't have to look to see whether it will happen. It has happened. And I believe that a market-driven solution is a far better solution. I think we need a solution in many cases which brings health care decisions and payments much closer to the people. And I can give you some examples of that. When we go in to the doctor or hospital, time and again, we are offered and almost pushed to take services that we don't need. We don't do it because, you see, we don't have traditional insurance. We have a plan that where a large number of people across the nation share in helping each other with insurance costs. It's unique. It's something my wife and I chose to do about 10 years ago. So we self-pay with help of others. And in doing so, we're very fussy, very particular about what those expenses are. We watch them very carefully. Generally speaking, that cuts our costs about 50%. Now, we need to move in that direction, not in the direction of government health care.
All right, thank you for that response.